We're going to learn all sorts of things about how to improve your landscape and your gardens and your community. It goes back to 1983. And I think it says, I put 15,000 individuals, and I didn't update that, but it's probably closer to 60,000 people have gone through the program. We definitely have in the state over 2,000 folks who are active master gardeners. And again, there's 54 chapters. So I think you guys all passed the requirement. You're at least 16 years old. Yay. And there is a document at the back of your first chapter, policies and procedures chapter, that is the Master Gardener Volunteer Agreement and Exchange of Services Agreement. And what we ask you to do is take some time to read through it, sign that back page. We'll take a photocopy of it, and then you'll have it. We want you to always have it and understand what it is and what it says. Now, this accelerated course, just so you know, a traditional Master Gardener course has 12 different sections, and they go for 12 weeks. Well, that's kind of hard to do for some folks today. Have a hard time committing to coming to that many sessions. So we tried a new concept, which is this intensive Master Gardener training program, and we've got 6 different sessions, and we will cover at least 2 subjects at each of these sessions. And we've got a series of speakers. Some of them we will bring in via Zoom, and some of them will be here face to face. And you'll have the opportunity to interact with those. If you miss a session, that's the good news, it's recorded, and you'll be able to make it up by viewing the recording. One of the things as we transition into COVID, the beautiful world of COVID, is that what we used to have people do is visit the county office, which is this, and take that training via our computer. And I mean, you could still do that. You still have that option. But we just didn't really want you to have to sit here for 3 hours and you know how closures go. It wasn't really necessary. So we don't want you to miss more than one training session, but there's no reason why you should miss any, because one way or the other, you'll be able to easily make up the sessions. I believe that it is in the new version of this, and I have it on my computer, and we will talk about the code of conduct, and thank you for saying that. See, there's not that much difference between the volunteer agreement and the code of conduct. I know exactly. Okay. Well, I do have it on I have it on one of my pages. Yep. So we can. Correct. All right. We'll make sure that we cover the code of conduct also. So again, we don't want you to miss more than one session. You may make up the session here, or you may review the Zoom video. Those are your options for making the sessions up. So because of the COVID, the normal number of volunteer hours that we would ask for a first-year trainee to transition into what we call an accredited Master Gardener would be 30 hours. But this year, it's only 18 volunteer hours, which is pretty easy to get. It's really, you know, and your volunteer hours can be, you know what, I spent 2 hours helping my neighbor figure out what was wrong with her roses. or I spent, 2 hours in one of the gardens, like the care center garden or something like that. Those kind of things qualify as volunteer hours. Sometimes we have plant sales, which the Master Gardeners sponsor a plant sale, which they did not get to do this year. And they do it as a fundraiser because we sponsor the Lake Area Master Gardeners, provide a scholarship to students who are going on to study, one of a few subject matters that we feel enhances the garden world. So after the first year, we ask that Master Gardeners complete 20 hours annually and take 6 continuing education hours. Now, we used to always say the continuing education hours had to be face-to-face. Well, guess what? That didn't work either. So we offered different alternatives for continuing education. I offered in March, April, and May. In March, I do the composting in March. In April, I did murder hornets, my specialty. And I will tell you guys about murder hornets in a minute. And then in May, we talked about tree issues, and we talked about certain other issues that people are noticing on their trees. And so the Master Gardeners who tuned into that particular class were able to get 45 minutes to an hour of continuing education. Another opportunity for continuing education, there are online classes that University of Missouri, that Purdue is offering. They're all that you really need to do if you want to earn a continuing education hour is just let me know what you're doing, and likely you'll be able to participate. And we have a system for you to report your Master Gardener hours online. And I will show that to you again in just a little bit as soon as we get through this particular training session. And so we've got a meeting schedule and a brochure, and okay, so this and folks online, I'll be sharing those with you as we as when I pass that information on to you. So you're going to know the subjects that we're going to cover at each session. Let's see.
And those may vary a little bit because I haven't gotten all the speakers confirmed yet for those dates, those how the subjects that will be covered.
All right.
So do you want me to do the Lake Area Master Gardener schedule right now?
Yeah, why don't you come on up?
And Janet has a copy of this tentative schedule.
Yeah.
Just handed out so
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
and this is the Lake Area Master Gardeners do a yearbook, we call it. It has different information in it, and this is a copy of the programs and the events that we would do during that the year. Of course, we've had quite a few changes this year because of the virus. So some of these will be the March program, caution ticks. We had to reschedule that one to 2021 because the speaker was ill that evening. So that will be on next year's, or probably will be on next year's schedule. The April 14th one, because we were shut down because of the virus, we did not have that program. So that will be moved to 2021. A place for us, he, she sheds. And then the May 12th meeting, we didn't have that speaker either because of the virus. So the creative gardener, Sue Fletcher, and hopefully you're going to meet Sue. She's going to come and do one of the sessions for us, the herbaceous ornamentals and landscaping. She does a fantastic job, but she probably then will do this program for the Master Gardeners at one of our meetings in 2021. And then our garden walk, we had to cancel. It was in the Camden and Lynn Creek area, Loose Creek area this year, and those gardens are rescheduled for 2021. So, but those are ways that coming to a meeting and attending the program, attending the business meeting, usually you can get 2 hours, and that counts as Master Gardener meeting hours. You can record that for your volunteer time. The garden walk, if you volunteer to help during the garden walk, then that counts for volunteer hours. Our plant sale that we usually have the first or second Saturday in May, we had to cancel that because of the virus. So that'll be coming up in 2021. So we're back on schedule now to do the July 14th meeting, which is Weed ID with Gatlin Bunton. And he may come and do the program, or he may do it by Zoom. So we don't know for sure. And we're going to try to have a meeting outdoors somewhere so that people can come and get together, but we also want to be able to social distance. So, and if you come to that meeting either by Zoom or in attendance, then whatever our hours are, you'd be able to count that as volunteer. And then the August meeting, we almost always do a hands-on type of program with Jan Mitzel, who is one of our members. And we are discussing if we're going to do the getting potted, because we were doing things with clay pots that we were not sure because of the situation and lots. I have found a couple of dozen, but they're the small ones, and we weren't sure how many we needed. So we're looking for more pots, but we have another idea to do as a backup. And then Dr. Trinkline is coming in September, and that will be an afternoon rather than an evening program. Most of our meetings are in the evening. We start at 6 with a social time, and then the speaker starts at 6:30, and then at 7:30 we start our business meeting. And so we're trying to be finished by 8:30. Our location over the years has been at Wilmore Lodge, but because of the virus and various situations and things that are changing there, we've had to change our location. So when it says Wilmore, that will not necessarily be the location, but we'll let you know for sure where. And then our final meeting of the year is the November meeting, and they have November 10th here. I'm not sure, it's the second Tuesday of the month is always, and I'm thinking it's the 11th when I looked, but our meetings are always the second Tuesday of the month, and an email will go out to let you know where that will be. And then Wilmore Lodge, we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's one of our main projects, and we'll look at some of our projects that you are welcome to volunteer on that help earn your hours. So that's just an idea of our programs and things that we do during the year. And we try to meet each month, February through November, and have different things going on during that time. I don't know if you have any questions about the programs that the second Tuesday. Okay.
So what time are these?
Our meetings, the second Tuesday, 6 o'clock, we start a social time. So from 6 to 6:30 is our social time where we have refreshments and people just talking and visiting. And then at 6:30, our program, our speaker starts. And usually it goes till 7:30, 45 minutes to an hour for our speaker. And then our business meeting usually starts at 7:30 and it goes till 30.
And so you don't have to stay for both.
No.
But it's beneficial.
Yes, and you do get the hours. So
Yeah,
if
you
it's,
get the hours.
We have not completed the course.
yes, because, and I'll be having a handout for you that'll show you about your hours. And it's the way you record it. This first year, you want to record it under Master Gardener meeting, and you put the education and the volunteer together for that meeting. As once you finish your certification, the second year, you have to separate it. So you get your 6 hours, or you're working towards 6 hours for your continuing education, and then your volunteer, 20. But the first year, we let you combine them.
That's awesome.
And the same thing with if the Lake Area Master Gardeners are doing something by Zoom, we'll let you count that because of, it's part of the Master Gardener activities, and we consider that a meeting. Because when Trish was doing her continuing education about the murder hornets, if you would tuned in, we would let you count that hours for volunteer, because that was a Lake Area Master Gardener activity that we were doing. Even though the education for us, we already have our certification, for you as beginners, we would count it as a Master Gardener meeting. Yes, so you'll get emails that will help you keep up on counting that. And this is great what Nancy Hall, who puts our yearbook together, has this down the side about logging hours, education, and meetings. So where education is, you can just put a slash through that, or NA, and put all of your hours over in the meeting, and then when you go and record it, you have that that you can go by. And we can get that.
Sure.
out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. These are the subjects we're going to talk about, in case you were just wondering what all we were going to teach you. So again, we've got the orientation. We're going to talk about soils and plants. We're going to talk about composting, plants and their environment and propagation, insects, woody ornamentals, pruning, vegetables. We don't talk about how to discourage deer, but we will talk about it. Just kidding you. Although it's impossible, as you know. We will have a section on fruit production, lawns and turf, landscaping, herbaceous ornamentals, plant diseases, safe pest control, and we talk about both versions. Obviously, most people prefer to use less chemicals, if you can possibly avoid it. It's a much better idea. And we do cover residential landscaping and herbs and native plants. So we've got a couple things that we do, and I don't know if we want to do the snack sign up right now. I think we'll just.
I brought a sheet. I don't know if,
we can kind of, it did.
How they want to do it.
Yeah, it kind of depends. And here's why I say this. What we would normally do is have our master gardeners, the trainees, volunteer to bring snacks each session. Well, as you know, it's a little tricky these days. So if we were to bring snacks, even though each and every one of you is quite capable of bringing something ornate and wonderful and delicious, it should probably just be a packaged snack. Okay, and so I brought the snacks this time, and they're Doritos, Cheetos, and something else. Oh, anyway, sorry it wasn't more ornate, but, and of course an apple is contained, so we could serve an apple. But I just wanted you to know, we've always got water, we've always got snacks. It's optional. You may volunteer to do that. We have special shirts that you can order. And Winnie, why don't you come back up and volunteer to show them your Master Gardener shirt? Oh, she's got two. We have 6 or 7 different varieties that, and I haven't gotten the current prices. I will get those in the next couple of weeks, so yeah. I should have those for you. And as far as the colors, when I took the class in 2009, we had pale blue or a golden, because the person that was the local coordinator at that time wanted us to do the gold for the university, or the blue because he liked blue. So, yeah. But when I took it over, I thought we need to be able to pick what color we want, because I try to get them for lots of different colors for different things that I'm doing. Because we do, another lady and I do a booth in Eldon at the farmer's market. And so we have a blue, a pale blue, and a green that we wear as part of our attire for the farmer's market, just so that, you know, people know where we are and they come to our booth. But when you get your information, you can have a t-shirt, and now we have long sleeve as well as short sleeve. We have the scoop neck as well as the V-neck. And then there's a little bit difference in the fabric of the V-necks, and I have some samples I'll bring in on the 13th, let you look at that. And then that information will be emailed out. So t-shirts, we also have polo shirts that have the 3 buttons and the collar. And then we have denim shirts. And we had been,
been going with the faded denim until last year, and then our supplier ordered the indigo. So you can have faded denim or you can have indigo denim. And our logo is the state logo, which is the Missouri Master Gardeners with the dogwood, and then we have lake area above it. And our embroiderer does a really good job of coordinating the lake area to fit the color of the shirt. So the hardest part, once you decide what type of shirt you want, is to pick the color, because there's like 18 or 20 different colors that you can pick from the different styles. And we also have long sleeve sweatshirts that you could get if you wanted. So we have at least 5 or 6 different styles of shirts, as well as lots and lots of colors. And then the prices vary depending on what you want.
And as the note says, those are optional. They're certainly your choice if you choose to order a shirt. They're kind of handy when you do, when you're doing volunteer work and meeting the public and talking to the public. It's nice to have the logo shirt. That's kind of why the University of Missouri has us wearing logo shirts, because then you can identify us, you know who we are, and we can answer those questions appropriately. I don't have the soil test forms out, but I'll bring some out to you. Each of you, we will pay, let's see, do we charge the minimum charge? Is that how we do it? Yeah. Because that was probably when it was $10, and now it's $12.50. So, okay, so each of you, we will take, we will allow you to have one soil test at the minimum cost, which is $12.50. Those do come in handy, and I won't pass them out this time, but the next time that when we have our soil session, I will make sure that you have that form, and we'll talk a little bit about how to fill it out and how to do a soil test and why you want to do a soil test and all the things that are important to do as master gardeners. And so here we're on the last slide of this session, and it's 2 o'clock, so we'll probably take about a 5-minute break here. We call it a bio break or whatever. But here's the information for how to reach us. And as I said, I will make sure folks who are online and folks who are here in the room have got a copy of this particular information just to keep in your book. And with that, thank you very much. And when we come back, we'll talk about more stuff. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, it was on the form. It was on something. Yeah, it was like somewhere. Yeah, I was just double checking.
That's not all.
sample of our yearbook that Linda's this year.
Okay.
I'd like to look through that. Really handy reference for you.
All right, so there's that, and that. Now I think everybody back. Next time you go to class, you just grab the black bag and you're ready. You're ready to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody done any planting in your bags?
No. It's occurred to me to try it. It really has. I have a friend who did. She had bought a bunch of those big gardening bags. And she's like, they seem just like the bags that you get
The grocery
everywhere.
store bags.
Yeah. But I did get a real cute little plastic one that says no drama llama on it and planted, and it's on my, I call it my, so it's kind of cute, but, these would drain, but those plastic ones don't drain.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
they're a little heavier, but my friend, she's in New York, and she's got real good luck.
Oh,
Yeah, and my daughter got some, and I think she might have given me some, and I just don't even remember what I got.
Yeah, they're pretty nice.
Because I'm willing to try potatoes again. I had my first crop, which really isn't that great.
I've never tried to grow potatoes.
I know, it is bad. I think it'd be
We used to do them in tires when I did
Oh,
it. It was
yeah.
a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Big tractor tires, so
Yes.
we got too much rain.
Yeah,
a lot. So,
Yeah.
that was when they began to place the storm.
Some people I've seen are leaving them in, like they grow them older and then leave them in concrete. How hard.
What's that?
Potatoes, leaving potatoes in the ground.
I never tried that.
Yeah.
They
All
were
these
like
YouTube
that.
videos they're watching.
Yeah.
That's been my favorite thing.
Like a plastic tank
Yeah.
and that, like a cellar, but just.
Yeah. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, that would work. Just have like a lid or, people of it.
Yeah.
Vegetables in it.
Where did you live in Chicago?
I lived in, when I first moved there, I was in Schaumburg.
Oh, North.
I still worked in, northwest suburbs, Williamsburg.
Oh, yeah,
And I lived out in Woodstock for a little while, because our office moved to Elgin. Down Stroke.
We were southwest.
Yeah. I'm glad to be out of there right now.
Definitely.
I was wondering, I want to move out of the metropolitan area, get country.
I'll tell you, it's a good place to be right now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I'm having so much electronic. I think I saw something on my horoscope about having a bunch of batteries. Why do I need batteries? Why would I
Well,
need
Mercury
batteries?
has gone direct, so technical issues are supposed to be okay now.
In theory, in theory. That's okay though. One of these days, I said, oh, I need a clicker, and I just never. Then I probably wasn't doing it right. Now, should I show the MOMGA website next?
Okay.
Would you like me to do that? Okay. 'Cause that's about our volunteer hours. All right. And I do have an introduction to the University of Missouri, but folks, are you back?
Yes, we're here. I'm here.
All right, I'm going to share my screen again. And we're going to show you a couple of different websites. Okay. People are able to take the Master Gardener program completely online. Again, it's 12 sessions at a dedicated evening, and you have to pass a test at the end. And that's the advantage of being face-to-face, okay? We're not going to quiz you folks. You don't have to remember everything. But I do want you to know that sometimes, if you feel like you can't be here the whole time, or if there's issues, just let us know. I'll have the recording available for you. I don't want you to have to miss a session because of personal issues, which we all have. And it is the summer. This kind of just tells a little bit about, this is for the course that we're having right here. And I think I explained to most of you, our original plan was to have it at Lake Ozark. Well, thank you, COVID, because the fire department, where we had a really nice training room, said, no, we're not going to allow outside groups to come in this year. So such as it is, that's how that goes sometimes. This is the University of Missouri extension page, and that just gives you a little bit of an idea of how many different things we do. Continuing education, has anybody taken any of these trainings? Missouri Training Institute provides workplace training. They're kind of fun. I'm dedicated to agriculture and environment, but guess what? As things expand and all this, now I'm also part of the business and community, so I'm running a couple of leadership programs at the same time, which is all fun. And if you ever wanted to know, hey, where can I take Stay Strong, Stay Healthy, which is an educational program basically for people over 50, and it's a way to stay fit when you're not as mobile as you used to be. I've taken it. It's a good program. They even have Tai Chi online. Oh, okay.
Stay strong.
Stay Strong, Stay Healthy. One of our associates, we have what they kind of serve 3 counties, and the Kelsey Lineback works in out of Marys County. In Eldon, starting July 15th, I believe she's going to teach Matter of Balance, which is also another, and I believe it's free also. It's an educational program to help folks as they mature to keep, to kind of work on staying, balanced, not falling, those kind of things. So that's another resource. And let me see, I wish this was hiding. I can't see the screen. I wanted to log on to MomGuide. I know. We were talking about reporting your volunteer hours. Has anybody here in this room, besides Winnie and myself, or those of you who are on Zoom, have you ever been involved in a volunteer organization where they ask you to report your hours on a regular basis? Well, it's kind of it's kind of unique, I think, to the university extension programs. We want you to keep, in addition to us providing this education, which if you sat and did the math on the kind of education you'll get, you'll know this at the end, is it a good value for your money? It's because we discount significantly the cost of the program because we value volunteers, and we value each of you going out and sharing your knowledge and maybe helping with gardening and beautifying our community and doing all that. So what we ask is that you kind of keep track of your hours, and we'll go into those details. Let's see here. I'll log out and log back in. How about that? All right, there we go. To date, this year, And I don't know if this is, oh, this is a running total for 2020. 15,860 volunteer hours. And if you think about that, that includes the COVID, for goodness sakes. And we've provided 3,062 hours of education and what we call advanced training. Sometimes advanced training is a subject matter that you don't get here. That's not a basic education. And it's normally provided by somebody who's likely got a doctorate degree or at least a master's degree. And they're providing some education above and beyond what you would normally get as basic education for a master gardener. So that is the story there. And if folks wanted to, let's see, I don't know if I'm logged in or not. I don't know if it's gonna let me do it or not. There we are. You'll create your own username. You'll create your own password. Again, it's report.missourimastergardener.com, I believe. Report.missourimastergardener.com. That's where the website is. And it gives you a general idea of how to create an account, how to enter your hours, what kind of hours are available. And Winnie will cover you, but I just wanted you to get introduced to that website. And you know, there's a volunteer agreement, a code of conduct volunteer agreement that I just handed out to each of you, but you'll also be asked to make a little check mark on this website that you agree to the code of conduct. So that's about all I'm going to share with you on this, because I think you are likely to be able to look that up yourself. I will tell you that many times people call me and have trouble getting their hours in or don't know what to do, and I can always help them because I have administrator access. So if you're having trouble with your password, don't know what to categorize, if you say, why aren't my hours showing up, I can go in and take a look at it and tell you why and help you. And sometimes I put the hours in myself for you, you know, while we're on the phone. So just wanted you to know that those.
And if you have time between now and the 13th and want to go in and take a look, you could go ahead and set up your profile.
Yes.
And when it asks about your master gardener group, you click on the Lake Area Master Gardeners. All your information accessible. Christian.
Absolutely.
Masters. When it asks for your county, you can go ahead and put in Camden County or Monotone, Morgan, whatever county you have to be Miller. And also check if you signed the agreement or not, because you have to do that each year, and it will show the date that you signed it. And yours would would show it hasn't been signed, but then you want to go back in after you put in those first hours and check and make sure that it does show it. So you can always check your profile, and then that lets Trish check too. If your hours are not showing up on the master list and you know you've entered some, then Trish can track and find out.
Happy to do it, pretty easy to do it. In the olden days, before computers, everybody just kept a spreadsheet, turned it in, and we said, okay, yeah, that looks about right. So this is the Missouri Master Gardener website, and it has lots of information on it. You can kind of see it scroll, chapter directory, where documents are. They have a monthly newsletter that you can sign up for, a regular newsletter. I don't know if it's monthly. Yeah, and it's worth signing up for because they have tips, but they'll also tell you little things about the state organization. Do we have an answer yet on whether they're going to have the conference?
July 10th, we have a manga meeting.
So before we meet again.
Yes.
Okay.
And with the Lake Area Master Gardeners, a member of the local chapter is $20 a year. $2 of that 20 goes to MOMDA, and then MOMDA has a record of the chapter and its membership. If you want to get, because you wouldn't be eligible to become a member until after you finish all the class sessions. Not to, you don't have to wait till you finish all your volunteer requirements, but until you finish the instructional part. If you wanted to go ahead and get on the email list, I control that for Lake Erie Master Gardeners. I'll have a sheet, or I can email you, and then you can email me back, and I can get you set up. And there's no charge, even though you want to pay your $20 or your $2. Once we do that by February 28th, anybody that takes a class or comes into the organization after that is just admitted freely onto the roster. And you might check up
Gets
there.
better.
Find a chapter. Try to find a chapter when you finish and let us see the state of Missouri. And it'll show, there's a little teardrop shape on the map that shows all of the different chapters in the state that are members of MOMDA. It's not every local chapter is a member, but we do have, I think there's 32, 33, maybe 35 now of the.
So that gives you a general idea of where all the chapters are located.
Some around Kansas, and around St. Louis.
I don't know if it, yeah, it does. That's Northwest Missouri. This is the Master Gardeners of Greater Kansas City, of Cass County. That gives you a general idea. So there's that.
St. Louis County, and then they have St. Charles and I think Franklin here.
Yeah.
You click on one of the teardrops and then it brings up the name of the chapter. If you click on that, then it gives you the information about the local extension on it. So when you click on Lake Erie Master Gardeners, it takes you to the, I think we're, yeah, that one should be us.
And it says that's what you
And
do.
then you click on.
Yep.
Location.
Our phone number. That is correct.
Don't rely on GPS.
No, you'll end up down at the bottom of the hill. Is that what happened? Yes.
We'll go here.
No harm, no foul. I understand more than you know, because that's Kennewick. I just go, oh, when you get to the bank, we're right. That is how you do that. Well, this gives you a little bit idea. They've got an state conference planned, and what's the dates on that? September 18th through the 20th, and it may or may not happen. We will know before we meet again. Well, sometime after we meet again. So
September 20th, and it'll be in Jefferson City this year.
Yep.
The pre-conference is the 18th, and there's a tour planned if you chose to do that, or then there's education in the afternoon that's planned for Runge Conservation Center, and then there are tours and education on Saturday, the 19th, and then education and meetings on the 20th.
My screen, okay, my screen sharing is paused. Folks, let's see. I don't know what all you didn't see, those of you at home. Did you see most of the stuff that we were talking about, everybody?
No other pages.
Okay, I'm gonna go back just for your edification. Here's the events, which I don't know if there's any listed here. Master Gardeners in Greene County, that's down in the Springfield area. They've listed several events. Here's the information on the state conference that we were just talking about. Some of the, and just because in case you're wondering why there's events in Greene County, well, they've got an area, they've got a dedicated area that's got a a garden and a park and everything else. And if you go up to Jefferson City, you'll find out that Jefferson City also has their own kind of areas that they maintain, including a greenhouse. If you go to St. Louis, the Missouri Botanical Garden, some of the Master Gardeners volunteer at the Botanical Garden. You have to take extra training to work there. So you can't just say, hey, I'm ready. You have to take extra training to work there. And of course, the Kansas City area has got their own organizations that, you know, the larger metropolitan areas have got the opportunity and the volume and you know, the ways to create these beautiful spaces. We've got beautiful Wilmore Gardens, which is fabulous.
Usually there are a lot more events listed here because any chapter that's a member of MOMGA can
Right.
host their activities, because there have been plant sales and they had to be canceled, and then education things.
Yes.
Boonville has several, Morgan County has some things.
Yeah, they do.
So,
Yep, they do.
and our things are usually up there too.
Just for the folks who did not get to see the chapter directory, and I'm going to apologize for pausing my sharing. I'm sorry about that. Here is the chapter directory that gives you a general idea of where the different chapters are. And for example, as Winnie was pointing out, when you click on one of those dots, it says who coordinates that particular chapter in that area. And
there's
it's coming. I see it. I see it. There it is. A lot more details, where we're located, which areas we cover, how to find your way down to the river, and what various information there is there. So that gives you a general idea. And folks on Zoom, did you see the home page of that?
Yes.
Okay. And were you also able to see the report your hours page?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go back to that then. In fact, I can find it from here. Yep. It has to be all the way at the bottom, but it is. I gave them that feedback.
And you can go in and look at previous newsletters.
Mhm.
Also.
All right. So sorry about that, folks. I didn't notice that my screen sharing was paused. This is the main page where, as we were talking about, you might report your volunteer hours, and you can take a look at how your chapter's doing, update your information, do all sorts of fun stuff there. And a little bit later, we'll have a little bit more in-depth training on this. I could do the volunteer policy video. That would be fun. Should I? Okay. I'm going to do that. Sorry in advance. Okay.
Through the generous support of volunteers and
Oops.
Missouri Extension has been able to greatly expand the reach of its programming. As a volunteer or partner, please understand that you are greatly appreciated. You play an important role in making Missouri a better place by helping Extension fulfill its mission of improving lives, business, and communities through relevant, reliable,
I have a pause.
Work performed as a volunteer. Will we provide an understanding of the process used does not fulfill the ethical or legal standards of the policies guide actions that surround all MU Extension programs, where volunteers are involved in program guidance and program delivery. Examples include Master Gardeners and Master Naturalists, Excel, Youth Development Programs, Community Arts, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, continuing education programs, and essentially any program in which volunteers are engaged to assist in MU Extension program delivery. While in most instances volunteers are covered by this policy, there are 3 distinct instances where the policy does not apply. Extension County Council members who are acting in an advisory capacity are not covered by this policy and process. Additionally, some individuals who are asked to consult briefly on program direction and content and do not actually engage with the public in conducting programs are not covered by this policy and process. If an individual is contributing content to extension-based programs while representing or operating from within their own professional or organizational employment, they too are not covered by this policy process. In these 3 instances, individuals are not expected to sign a volunteer conduct policy document. However, outside of these exceptions, all extension volunteers must understand and observe the following standards. Treat all youth and adults with respect and without discrimination. This standard includes providing equal access to participation for all, regardless of their race, color, national origin, ancestry, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, genetic information, disability, or protected veteran status. Avoid harming youth or adults, whether through neglect, sexual harassment, physical force, verbal, or emotional abuse. Obey the laws of the locality, state, and nation. Display mutual respect for one another. Practice personal and intellectual integrity. Demonstrate responsible decision-making. Display tolerance and respect for diverse opinions and perspectives. Avoid situations where a conflict of interest may occur regarding the role of an MU Extension volunteer and the volunteer's business interest. In recognition of the value and trust placed in all Extension volunteers, we expect all volunteers to read and sign a volunteer conduct policy that defines your role in the eyes of the University of Missouri. Additionally, there will be specific expectations communicated to you regarding the specific program with which you'll be working. Recent events in Missouri and across the nation have heightened awareness of the role of paid employees and volunteers, as well as the laws that define and direct some of the overarching responsibilities. As a volunteer for MU Extension, and by completing this agreement, you agree that if you, while acting as a volunteer for MU Extension, become aware of sex discrimination, sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, talking on the basis of sex, dating, intimate partner violence, or sexual exploitation involving a student, employee, volunteer, or visitor of the university, we will report such behaviors. This reporting action applies regardless of whether the recipient of the behavior is a student, employee, volunteer, or visitor of the University of Missouri. Any such incident must be reported as per University of Missouri policy. Should you become aware of any of these, we'll report the incident to the Mizzou Title IX coordinator by telephone at 573-882-3880 or submit a report using an online form available on the university's Title IX office website. The website is located at http://title9.missouri.edu. MU Extension has programs that engage you as learners and as planning partners. These program areas are required to annually complete background checks on volunteers that work with you and ensure that screened and oriented volunteers are present whenever youth are present. Volunteers working in these programs obligation as mandated with orders as prescribed by Missouri state law. Section 210.115.1 requires that if a volunteer believes there is or has been child abuse or neglect, must make a report to the appropriate Missouri Child and Abuse Hotline. In addition to the MU Extension staff person who directly supervises the volunteer service. Volunteers working in youth programs will also be guided by the following MU Extension policy. Abstain from using alcohol or any illegal substance while working with or being responsible for youth. Be proactive in following best practices for age-appropriate youth supervision through the following measures. Make and follow appropriate plans for emergency responsiveness and disaster response. Obtain and manage health and medical information for emergency response in appropriate situations. For all volunteers, procedures, requirements, or rules will be developed and administered by the appropriate program director, continuing education director, or as needed by the vice provost for MU Extension for the specific program with which you'll be working. At University of Missouri Extension, it is our hope that those who volunteer will see the previously noted policies as fostering reasonable, common sense behavior that responsibly protects all of us. However, we do realize that there is a chance that a volunteer will ignore, bypass, or act outside of these guidelines. To deal with these rare cases, a set of steps has been put in place for the Extension program area to handle. As Extension has many program areas, we won't attempt to cover these specifics with the program. However, if there is cause for action, understand that a volunteer may be temporarily suspended from their responsibility until further information can be gathered and decisions. An appeal process for the volunteer is also in place as part of this process. In extremely rare cases, it should be understood that there are instances where a volunteer may be removed from their role immediately without review or comment. These could include falsification of information, including forgery, omission, or providing misleading information regarding an individual as an Extension volunteer. Assuming representation as an MU Extension volunteer is in an authorized role, or attempting to implement management policies that are inconsistent or in direct violation of MU Extension's program policy. Breach of confidentiality, unauthorized possession, use, copying, or reading. Unauthorized possession, use, or transfer of assets or property of MU Extension, or of another person's property who is participating, volunteering, or working for MU Extension, or in any manner defrauding the organization of its assets, any reason, or by any means. Possession, use, being under the influence, sale, distribution, or unlawful manufacture of illicit drugs or alcohol, or misuse or abuse of prescribed or over-the-counter drugs while performing volunteer duty. Conviction of a felony violation during the period in which they are serving as an MU Extension volunteer. Violation of anti-discrimination policies. Volunteers will not discriminate on the basis of their race, color, national origin, ancestry, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, genetic information, disability, or protected veteran status. Non-discrimination policies in other settings, including off campus, if there are effects of the conduct that interfere with or limit a person's ability to participate in or benefit from an extension program or activity. Disorderly conduct, including but not limited to sexual harassment, creating a disturbance or fighting with, or striking a fellow volunteer or program participant. Destruction or defacement of property. These policies covered in this presentation are aimed at curtailing behaviors that is considered unacceptable. They're designed to foster a secure environment for all involved within the extension. While this is an important matter to be addressed, please be assured that this policy is based on rare events. Over the years, MU Extension has been fortunate and has enjoyed a rich history of volunteerism from of some of the state's finest people. You as a volunteer, providing valuable time, are a continuation of this rich history. Your effort is greatly appreciated. It makes a difference. You have already signed a copy of the volunteer conduct policy. Thank you. If you have yet to sign and will be assuming or continuing a role as a university volunteer, please sign and submit a completed policy document to the extension employee who oversees the program that you'll be working with. We look forward to working with you and thank you for your commitment.
Thank you, Dennis. It's all good. It's all good. And we talked a little bit about the record of volunteer hours. Winnie, do you want to talk a little bit about the graduation? Is there something that's kind of next on our agenda? Okay. Okay. All right. Do you want me to put that up or do you want to talk about it?
I was gonna say, I have,
Oh, let's do that.
pictures.
Yep, let's do that. So we're going to put one of our main volunteer activities is the gardens at Wilmore Lodge, and we're going to do our very best, technical best, to give you a little bit of an idea of what all that amounts to.
All the time,
Did you? All right.
This map that I gave you is to update it, but it does give you an idea of the area that we're talking about, because we actually have more gardens now than are shown on this map, because we've added some in the last few years. And I will email out a copy of that, for those on Zoom.
It's not showing a map right now.
No, not yet, not yet.
Okay.
We're getting there. I need to get this is just a, it is a slideshow, but why doesn't it let me, oh, here we are, I'm sorry. Here we are. And so can you see the, okay. Good deal. I'm gonna kind of run back to page 1 and I will go ahead and advance. Sorry.
And we haven't updated this because we've made several changes and we weren't sure we were going to be doing the class or not. So this is as of last summer that, I don't know if some of you are not familiar with the lodge probably, but it's a little hard to get to now because of the construction, but it's worth going to. And the museum part in the lodge is actually closed right now, but you can go down to the gardens.
I didn't know you couldn't get in the museum. I'm sad about that. And I need to go by there and look at those maple trees too.
So this is the front of the lodge, and there's a parking area off to the side that you'll see as you come into and this is one of the areas that's a garden. We have sign-up sheet that different people sign up to work in the different gardens. So this is a front garden, and then we also have gardens that are up right across from the lodge and around the lodge.
Are you guys showing something other than, I don't think we're seeing it online.
Okay. Let me just see if I'm just going to escape for just a moment.
Okay. Showing the museum and visitors.
I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to start sharing again. So we do it right. Okay. Because sometimes that happens. All right. And then we're going to start from the beginning.
Thank you. We can see it now.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you told me because otherwise I wouldn't know. And I think you were maybe trying to tell me that earlier too. Sorry.
Weren't sure we're having the class.
Okay, so here we go. Here's again, back to what Wendy was talking about.
And this garden here is one that we maintain. We have a group that works on that. And then we have a rain garden that we'll look at that's over on this side. And then there are gardens up around the front of the building also. Next one. This is a close-up of that front garden, the first one that you see as you walk up to the lodge. And then this area is to the right of the lodge as you're walking up. It's a rain garden And the early planting, that's what's in place now. And this is a project that was done in coordination with the Lake Ozark Master Naturalist, Ameren, and the Wilmore Foundation and Lake Erie Master Gardeners. And with quite an area with a lot of erosion, and we'll do a section on native plants, which is part of our Master Gardener class that not very many other Master Gardener classes around the state are doing. So this is an area where you can see the native plants in actual use. And then as you go down the path, this is the pool bed, and that is on the back of your sheet, it shows the number. So you see the pool bed, but that's in the middle of the deck area, and originally it was the swimming pool when the lodge was first built, when they were building Bagnell Dam, and they filled it in, so we just called it the pool bed. And then the other picture, the one on the right, is our gazebo bed, because just past that, there's steps that go down to a point that looks out over the lake, and there's a fireplace down there and benches. And we have master gardeners that work on the gazebo bed or in charge of it, and then we have a group that are in charge of the pool bed. And we're hoping the pool bed is one area, if they're wanting to volunteer at Wilmore, that you will help with that, because that's one of the gardens that I do, and I signed up for Master Gardener class students if they want to help with that one. And then this is the herb bed, which is one that you'll see coming down the walkway. And this was redone, I think, in 2015 as a group of master gardeners. And we have a couple of Lake Erie Master Gardeners that are in charge of that and take care of deciding what's planted there and maintaining it. And then this is our pollinator garden, which was put in, and we did that one in 2016. And we have a couple of Lake Erie Master Gardeners. There's quite a bit growing there. This is when it was first put in, and it is a monarch way station. So it's, with natives, we say it takes 3 years. First year they sleep, second year they creep, and the third year they leave. So we're still waiting to leave on some.
It's doing pretty good, though.
Yes,
I do
You'll
too.
see in just a little bit what
Yeah.
the plan is.
Yeah. All right, so here's.
the monarch garden. And the
I
next slide
imagine
shows,
there's
this was
more.
the
Okay.
original plan when we were picking out the plants that go there. So hopefully, eventually, this is what will be there. Some of those plants are already there and are just, fledglings started.
So that's the artist rendering. Okay, that's beautiful. I wish mine looked like that. No, a lot of the plants, of course, they purchased from the Missouri Prairie Foundation and from the Wildflower.
LOA, Lake Ozark Watershed Alliance, has 2 plant sales this year, and usually we get plants from them or from the Missouri Wildflower Nursery. And then one of our members, Kathy Fayon, who will be speaking on the 13th, at this time had raised several of the native plants. She raised those, and so she donated plants that were put there.
Yes, she did. And if you're looking around, as you're looking in the ditch, you're going to see the butterfly milkweed is with that bright orange. Flame flowers are in bloom right now. Indian paintbrush,
Well,
there's,
there is
that's a
Indian
different one,
paintbrush.
but
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Indian paintbrush is actually red and yellow in a much different.
it doesn't do any good to pick it. It's beautiful.
This is the walkway up to the lodge, or just past the doorway to the lodge, and we've put in a new bed right across from the lodge, from the front door, and I think there's a slide for it next. Yes, this is the drawing for it, and we put that in 2017, and it has drift roses, which a lot of people at that time weren't familiar with drift roses, and so we put drift roses and then the little blue stem in the back, and then some of the boxwood.
I'll have to take a look. He told me about her drift roses today, and I thought she was going to say, "What's eating my drift roses?" But that wasn't the question, because that's the question I get. Just so you all know, that's the question I get almost once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, because we know what it is right now, and it is the wonderful Japanese beetle. And I do my best to help you get over the trauma and figure out how to deal with them appropriately.
Black-eyed Susans, and this is a little bit different variety of black-eyed Susan. It's a Mexican black-eyed Susan. So the ones that are native and that you see now that are blooming, these have not started yet. They're getting ready to bloom, but they're more of a ground cover because the leaf area just covers the ground, and then the stems will come up and bloom, and it'll bloom right through to the frost. Usually when we're cutting back in November for the winter, we have to cut off blooms because it starts later and blooms much longer. It's considered a ground cover. And then in 2018, we had this is behind it is the gazebo bed, and in front of it is the pool bed. Around this tree, we had an invasive vine, winter creeper.
Winter creeper, that's right.
We've been trying to get rid of, and it was so thick. And if you see a snake down at Wilmore, it would be in this area. And so we wanted to get it cleaned up. It took quite a while to get the vines killed. We had to put down cardboard, and then they had to spray and put down cardboard. And we put in hostas and some more drift roses down there. And we have a lot of trouble sometimes with deer, but more with groundhog in this area, that they come up from the shoreline because it's rocky, and so we have to spray liquid fence. And sometimes we're successful, sometimes not. Last year on the garden walk, one of the homeowners was telling us about what she does for deer is to get these flags that you can get. There are markers. You take the flag off and you stick that in so that they would stick their noses. And so we tried that, but we need to cut them. I cut some, but I need to cut more so they're shorter to get the groundhog discouraged. And she was having quite a bit of success with it. We have not, but we've only tried it last year. And the landscaping crew that Amran now works with came in and vacuumed all the leaves up. Well, they vacuumed up along the wires.
I'm glad you reminded me of that. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I'm going to do that. I've had some nippies at my house. I've got some.
This is the pool bed that shows you in 2011, because when you come down to the end of the pathway and it opens up into the large area, the pool bed, and then there's walkway all the way around it. So 2011, and then again in 2016. And 14, 15. We've taken out the large grass. Yes, and so we still have some grasses in there, but we were closed down during March when we needed to dig those up and divide them. So that's something that will either be done this fall or next spring.
That was another thing, just as an FYI, that we had to do because of the COVID, was that the volunteers were not allowed to go out. It's just fine. It's the safest thing to do.
We have lots of different varieties of plants in the pool bed, and that's one of the daylilies. And that's all the Kathy.
All righty. Okay. So
Wilmore is our big project, but we also have another project where we partner with Central Bank, Lake Ozark, and there are 4 or 5 different banks that we have a coordinator, this is Lake Ernestra Gardner, and she works with someone in maintenance at the bank, and she orders the plants from Shirks outside of Barnett, and then we go up and pick those up, and then we have volunteers that work at each bank to get those planted, and then Central Bank maintains those. And then we have booths that we do, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later, and then of course our plant sale and our garden walk. So there's lots of different opportunities for you to get your volunteer.
okay. So what else do we need to talk about today? I think we're pretty much done. I think we're done. So folks at home, I'll be in touch with you and we'll make arrangements to meet up and I'll deliver your materials to you. And of course, whether you're, planning to come into class or not, that's fine. The next session is July 13th. And that will be here at 1 p.m. and it will also be recorded so that I'll be continuing. It'll be the same Zoom link, but I'll send it to you regularly. And then if you have questions, just drop me a line, give me a call. I'm happy to help out. Do you folks at home have any questions?
No questions here, except anybody wanting to carpool, I would be interested.
Well, we will put everybody in touch so that you guys can arrange. And I think my last email, I had everybody's email on there. So now you guys have it as well. And Kathy or Andrea?
I don't have any questions. I think it's sometimes what might be beneficial if we do attend in person when we can, just because technology isn't always the most, it kind of comes and goes every once in a while. We can sometimes not hear. So I was going to try to maybe be present a few times, but I don't have any other questions.
I completely understand. Been there and done that. And Kathy?
I don't think I have really any questions. I too think it looks like it'd be more beneficial to be there, but
It is, but we understand and we'll do the best we can with the tools we're
we'll
given.
see.
Okay.
And the list of the all the participants and their emails, is that part of your book and package? We're going
Happy to put that together and include that.
okay, that's great.
Yeah, I think Jan is working on it right now. And how about you? How about you four ladies? What questions do you have? If you're thinking, you're probably thinking there's probably somebody else who's thinking about it.
I'm willing to carpool. I live out from 135.
Well, so if you guys don't mind, we'll share names, phone numbers, and emails. If that's okay with you, we will do that. And
Fine
that
with me.
way you guys can, if you want to text or whatever you want to do. And I know it's worth it because believe you me, like I said, I'm coming from Lori too. So I get it. It's a lot. And of course, if you drive the toll bridge, it's cheaper for one person than for all of us. Well, that's all we have right now. And thank you very much. I'll be getting together with you as best I can to deliver your books and all the other goodies we have. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tricia.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you.
Before you leave, did they sign the attendance?
I don't know, but we'll, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.